Gently close your eyes. Do deep breathing. We'll chant Om once together. Synchronize the chanting of Om with your exhalation. Breathe in. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavaditamastu ma vitvishavahay. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently open your eyes. We'll chant from verses 1 to 5 of chapter 3. Arjuna Uvacha.
Arjuna Uvacha.
Jayasi chet karmanaste.
Jayasi chet karmanaste.
Mata buddhir janardana.
Mata buddhir janardana.
Tat kim karmani ghore mam.
Tat kim karmani ghore mam.
Niyojayasi keshava.
Niyojayasi keshava.
Vyamishreneva vakyena.
Vyamishreneva vakyena.
Buddhim mohayasiva me.
Buddhim mohayasiva me.
Tadekam vada nishchitya.
Tadekam vada nishchitya.
Yena shreyohamapnuyam.
Yena shreyohamapnuyam.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Lokesmin dvividha nishtha.
Lokesmin dvividha nishtha.
Pura prokta maya nagha.
Pura prokta maya nagha.
Jnana yogena sankhyanam.
Jnana yogena sankhyanam.
Karma yogena yoginam.
Karma yogena yoginam.
Na karmanam anarambhat.
Na karmanam anarambhat.
Naishkarmyam purushoshnute.
Naishkarmyam purushoshnute.
न च संन्यसनादेव
न च संन्यसनादेव
सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति
सिद्धिं समधिगच्छति
न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि
न हि कश्चित् क्षणमपि
जातु तिष्ठत्यकर्मकृत्
जातु तिष्ठत्यकर्मकृत्
कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म
कार्यते ह्यवशः कर्म
सर्वः प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः
सर्वः प्रकृतिजैर्गुणैः
Hari Om, and a very good day to all of you. So in verse number 3, Lord Krishna starts answering Arjuna's question. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Lord said. Now, it is very interesting, when it comes to Arjuna's question, it is said Arjuna Uvacha. When it comes to Krishna's answer, it is said Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. If you just follow the logical flow, it should have been Arjuna Uvacha and Krishna Uvacha. Instead he says Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Why is that? There is a psychological implication there. Arjuna and Krishna were very close friends. So Arjuna looked at Krishna not as a Bhagavan. He looked at him as his friend only. Probably he had heard some rishis or a few others say that Krishna was a great spiritual person, but he didn't look at Krishna in that way. He didn't relate to Krishna in that way. Of course, Krishna is a person who had no ego whatsoever. So if Arjuna is not going to look at him in a spiritual way, now Krishna is not going to impose his spirituality on Arjuna, on anyone. No master ever imposes his spiritual powers on anyone. It is only the ego which will try to establish itself. A master is one with the infinite. So why would he want to establish himself? He will only want to establish the glory of the infinite. But here, the situation was such where Arjuna was unable to handle the challenge which was in front of him, and he genuinely required help. In the first chapter, entire chapter, he went on talking without realizing that he required help. And Krishna just kept quiet. He didn't play the role of a guru there. That is why in the first chapter, when there was a reference to Krishna and Arjuna, he didn't use the word Bhagavan. He just said Madhava, another name of Krishna. Very interesting. And then Arjuna goes on talking and he completely collapses. So even though he didn't verbally ask Krishna for help in the first chapter, but a non-verbal gesture was made, a non-verbal appeal was made to Krishna, saying that I am helpless, you need to help me. Then Krishna spoke in the second chapter, initially for a brief while. And that was the time when he took up the role of a guru. Guru means one who is there to show light where there is darkness. A guru is one who is attuned to the infinite. So when Krishna started playing the role of a guru, then the word used is Sri Bhagavan. Bhagavan Uvacha. Very, very subtly the change was made, from the first chapter to the second chapter. That shows how how Krishna switched from a role as a friend to the role as a guide. And the moment Krishna changed his energy pattern, Arjuna felt that. And that is why once Krishna said, how have you fallen into this state, Arjuna? You have to get up. When he said that, it was a very powerful statement, not merely because of the words, but because he had changed the energy pattern. From being merely Arjuna's friend to now being Arjuna's guide. But he didn't offer the guidance straight away. He only said, why don't you get up and fight? Don't fall for this weakness. Because the guidance can be given only when the student seeks directly. That is the rule. But he made himself available as a guide. That is why Krishna was called a Jagat Guru. Jagat Guru means universal teacher. I'll explain that also. Why is he called the universal teacher, the teacher of the entire universe? Now, when he made himself available, Arjuna, even though he didn't perceive Krishna as a highly spiritual person, the energy shift was enough to get Arjuna into a seeking mode. So he immediately bowed down and he said, Krishna, please, I seek thy help. You have to help me. I'm overcome by this weakness. For the first time, Arjuna admitted that it was his weakness in the second chapter. Till then he was blaming the circumstances. He was trying to tell Krishna what is wrong with this decision of fighting and all these things. But now the shift happened. This shift was initiated by Krishna because Arjuna completely broke down, and even though he required help, he was seeking help, but he didn't articulate it. He was so caught up in the problem that he was seeking, but the seeking never manifested because he was completely overcome by the problem. So this is something which any master can do at will. That is shifting the energy and thus shifting the role which he is playing. There is an incident in the Bhagavatam where Narada visits Krishna when he is at home. He says, I have seen Krishna as the manifestation of Lord Narayana, as a master. But now Narada wanted to know how would Krishna be as a husband. How would he conduct himself there? So he went. And he was so surprised because Krishna was doing all the household work. He was helping out his wife with the household work. And he was very, very simple, an extremely humble role which he was playing. The same Narada earlier also, when Krishna was young, when he was very naughty and he used to play around with his mother Yashoda. That time also Narada was so stunned, being the direct manifestation of infinite. How can, it was amazing to see Krishna play a very humble role of a child because his mother tied him. And he also played that role. He allowed his mother to tie him. So whatever be the role, whether it was a son or later on whether it was a husband, then as a friend, various roles he kept playing. He played it to perfection. So when it came to uplifting Arjuna, to guiding Arjuna, then these kinds of worldly, it is not a worldly role anymore. It is much higher than that. So these kinds of energies are not enough. So Krishna shifted that energy, and that shift of energy has been so beautifully captured by Vyasa when he uses the word Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Now Krishna was not talking as Arjuna's friend. He was not talking as a normal person now. He was talking as a Bhagavan. Why Bhagavan? A true Guru is one who is completely united with the infinite. See, if a person has learnt all the theory, let us say, he's got the textbookish knowledge of the scriptures, but his mind is not attuned to the infinite. His ego has not gone away. His consciousness is not merged with the infinite. Even though he may be using all the high terms which are there in the scriptures, there will be no power in that. Such a person cannot guide anyone. He himself requires guidance. It is not the amount of information which a person has or the amount of knowledge which a person has which can make him a guru. It is how much is he attuned with the infinite. That is why in our ancient system, guru was not a position. Like how you have, a position if you take an office, you have the general manager, vice president. Like this, you have various positions. If one person goes, another can come. But very, very technically, if you see, a guru is not a position which can just be filled by the next person. No. Unless and until that person gets attuned with the infinite, he will not be able to guide. To give a generalized knowledge to others is different. But to genuinely guide, to uplift the other person is a different ball game altogether. There can be thousands and thousands of scholars, pandits as we call them. We respect them for their knowledge. But among thousands and thousands of pandits, if you find one person who is attuned to the infinite, it is something wonderful. Such a person is called a master, one who has the ability to guide and uplift. So Bhagavan means one who is in the state of Bhagavat. Bhagavat means the Supreme, one who is one with the infinite. So whenever you go to a true master, he will be very, very simple, normal. Don't think a master means he will put on an air. See, anyone who puts on an air unnecessarily and creates an artificial distance and all, that is not a true master. A true master will be very, very simple. Simple to the core. Whatever roles he has to play in life, he'll just play. Whether it is as a son, or whether it is a husband or friend, or if he's working somewhere as an employee or as a boss, whatever it is, the roles, depending upon that particular role, he'll play that to perfection. But when you take life guidance or spiritual guidance from him, then that is the time where he will shift his energy, because playing a worldly role, he will not be able to guide. So every student, when a student is with a master may be playfully joking, all these things may be there. But suddenly when it comes to guidance, when he shifts the energy, that causes a lot of uncomfortable feeling for a student. Many incidents have been given in the Puranas to illustrate this point. Here it's directly there, from being Krishna as Arjuna's friend, he has suddenly shifted his energy to exhibit his spirituality. Normally a master will never exhibit, but if you go and seek guidance, he has to exhibit, because that very role of a guide is so powerful, because in order to be a guide, he has to be connected with the infinite, and when that starts manifesting, it can be overpowering. So when a student travels in this path under the guidance of a guru, he has to be prepared for this. Every now and then, suddenly the guru may shift his energy. That is why it is said it's not so simple to be with a master physically, because he will keep on switching roles. When the shift of roles is within the worldly roles, there is no issue. But when he shifts from a worldly role to a spiritual role, that is when it becomes too overpowering, because a student never expects that. See, generally, one of the tendency of the mind is to just get used to something for if it is done for a long time, and then the mind does not want to come out of the comfort zone. But a master can shift the roles at will. He can shift his energy at will, depending upon what is required in that particular context. As we go further in the Bhagavad Gita, it is very interesting. Krishna goes on shifting gears. As the energy keeps increasing, which means he is now getting into his role fully and manifesting it. Now Arjuna gets terrified when Krishna shows his Vishwarupa Darshan, which is a symbolic representation of his true spiritual stature. Now Arjuna is unable to take it. Actually, Arjuna, who requests Krishna, saying that I want to see your universal form, when he sees that he is unable to take that energy, and he actually gets frightened, and he starts apologizing to Krishna. He says, please, please Krishna, thinking you are my friend, I remember now, I used to joke with you, I used to tease you when we were eating and all that. All these kinds of things as friends, they used to exchange, Now, please don't keep that in mind now, because suddenly when he saw Krishna's spiritual stature, that spiritual brilliance, he got very frightened. And then he requests Krishna to show him his gentler form. That is how the Vyasa has portrayed. So, when the master shifts the energy, the student should be prepared to take it. So here, Krishna has only started the process. He has not shifted it fully. In the Vishwarupa Darshan chapter, he shifts the energy completely, which Arjuna is unable to take. And then he comes down a little bit and he continues. He gives him that much amount of healing which was required for him and which he was able to take easily. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha means Krishna has shifted gears. So one of the roles which he is qualified to play is that of a guru, that too a Jagat Guru. Jagat Guru means one who is a universal master, master of the entire universe. See, when you are one with the infinite, you automatically become universal. See, what is the implication of Jagat Guru? Jagat Guru means one who has crossed all boundaries and limitations. You may belong to any country, there is any nationality, you may belong to any religion, you may belong to any caste, creed, there are no differences. He has crossed all those limitations and he has become like the ocean, which can accept any river which comes into it. So, Krishna, being a direct manifestation of the infinite, he was the Purna Avatar. Avatar means avatarati iti avatar, the infinite descending in the finite form with total awareness. So Krishna being an avatar, now naturally when he shifted the energy and when he took up the role of a guru, it's not going to be any ordinary guru, it was Jagat Guru. In the Gita Dhyanam we saw that, no? Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Because he was a manifestation of that infinite power which was guiding the entire universe. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha means whatever these words are, whatever this knowledge which we are gaining is coming directly from the infinite. When we go to the next chapter, he will be expanding on that. He will say, I am the eternal teacher. I means the infinite, supreme self. So at different periods of time, different masters who got attuned to that infinite started guiding when they were sought guidance. But it was not that individual person who was guiding. It was the infinite guiding through that individual. So it was not Krishna who was guiding, but it was Bhagavan, because he is a manifestation of that infinite. It was the infinite which was guiding through Krishna. No human can guide. It is only ego. That is why I said a true guru will never consider himself as a guru. The others may call him a master and all that, but his focus will only be on the infinite. So the moment you hear Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, means the message is coming right from the infinite. It is not coming from the textbook. He is not a philosophy professor who is teaching. See, there is a difference between a philosophy professor and a saint. This wisdom which is being given here is not coming from textbooks. It is not coming from hearsay. It is coming directly from the infinite. Every master had this capacity to tap into the Guru Shakti, which is a dimension of the infinite, and then the wisdom starts flowing. So that is why Shri Bhagavan Uvacha is extremely significant here. And what is interesting is throughout the Bhagavad Gita, this is maintained. Bhagavan Uvacha, Bhagavan Uvacha. Because once he got into that mode, now he never came down till Arjuna was uplifted. Till Arjuna said, my moha has gone, now I am ready to fight, I am ready to face a challenge. So till that point of time, Krishna never shifted back his energy. Once that happened, then he again shifted his role. He became a charioteer of Arjuna. So incidentally, the sadhana practice which you can derive from that is that you have various roles to play in life. Now you should know to shift your roles according to the context. When you're in office, be an employee. When you come home, you should play that role. If you bring all your office stress to home, then you cannot play this role properly, or vice versa. If you take your stress from home to office, then you cannot play that role properly. The beauty of Krishna is that whenever he shifted the role, his role from one to the other, it was a complete shift. He dropped off the previous role completely and took over this role 100%. That is the most difficult thing to master. But if you are able to effectively do that in life, now you will become successful in an all-round way. Otherwise, you will be successful in one area, but you will be an utter failure in another area because you don't know how to shift your role and act accordingly in that context. Haven't you seen many successful people, that is successful people in one field, they have they meet with failure in other areas of life. It could be relationships, it could be something else, Sometimes you find a very knowledgeable person is unable to interact with others. Social interactive skills, that role he is unable to play properly. But otherwise he is very knowledgeable. So why is there this lopsided development? Because of the inability to shift roles. So you can take this as a sadhana tip, and you can practice that as a sadhana. It's a beautiful sadhana for life. Whenever you get into a situation, understand what your role is and shift accordingly. You can do it only to your capacity, because you will bring the hang-ups from the previous role, all the worries, anxieties, everything into the next role. But as you do your sadhana, your yoga sankirtan sadhana on a daily basis, you will get this capacity to shift roles. And what is most interesting is, when he says Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, when he wanted to guide Arjuna, he didn't consider himself as a guru. He just attuned himself to the infinite and manifested it. He was already attuned, he just manifested that. So a true master is not going to have an ego that he is a master, but he will just simply attune to the infinite. When you have half-baked knowledge, that is when you will go and advise everyone unnecessarily. Without any reference to the context, you will just start advising everyone. A master is one who advises only when the advice is sought. Otherwise, what is the point? It's even only when you consider yourself as great would you get into that position of advising. Otherwise, a master is always basking in the glory of the infinite. If you come and seek his advice, whatever flows from the higher, he is just going to pass it on to you, that's all. But he doesn't bring his ego in. There is no ego to bring in, and he doesn't pollute the whole thing. That is the significance of Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. So what did he say? The Supreme Lord said, Lokesmin dvividha nishta pura prokta mayanaga. In this world, there is the twofold path as stated by me earlier. Pura prokta means, I have stated this earlier. O sinless one, anagha. Anagha means very, very pure person. So last week we were seeing this phrase lokesmin. So if you bring it into prose order, it is asmin loke, this world. That is how we have translated it in English, in this world. But actually the Sanskrit construction is world this, in world this, world this in. If we put that kind of a translation, now you will not be able to understand anything. That's why we have put this translation here. But when you go deeper into that, you understand the significance of why he has put it as lokesmin and not asmin loke. So Arjuna was caught up with this problem. See, generally that's what happens when you face a challenge or an issue. Your mind gets so caught up with the problem that any amount of advice or any higher knowledge when given gets rejected by your mind. Your mind is unable to absorb the higher wisdom. See, if a person is caught up with anger, let us say, at that time if you go and advise him, it's nothing will go inside. If a person is caught up with fear, now any amount of higher wisdom which you give will not go into that person's system, because the emotion has completely overpowered that person. It has become like a hard shell, So the wisdom cannot penetrate. So in order to give the higher guidance, now first Krishna has to take Arjuna's mind off the issue. That is why he says loke. Loke means in the world. So he is talking of lokaha. Lokaha means the entire world, entire universe. Actually, it means this entire dimension. So the moment Krishna says loke, in the world, which means in this entire universe, now Arjuna's focus, that is when we say Arjuna's focus, the focus of Arjuna's mind, it immediately shifts from the problem to the totality. This is what I was explaining to you last week. So the moment your mind expands and starts experiencing the totality, the stress associated with your problem will go away. It's not that the problem will get solved immediately. No. For that you have to apply yourself. But the reason why you're not getting a solution to the problem, or even if you get a solution, the reason why you are unable to practice that solution is because of the mental stress and strain, the heaviness which you feel. You know, there was a CEO who asked me this question long back. He said, sir, I sit in an AC room and, I'm sitting on a chair, attending phone calls, making some decisions and all that. But after a few hours, I become very tired physically. Why is that? I have not done any physical activity. Then I had to explain to him, saying that it is actually not physical tiredness. It is mental tiredness. Because as you start functioning, and as a CEO, he was having so many responsibilities. He was responsible for the entire organization. So all those issues, when he used to try and solve them, they all used to make his mind very heavy. And that heaviness which a person feels now completely makes him dysfunctional after a while. That was what he was referring to as tiredness. But he was very confused. He thought it was physical tiredness. Of course, once he started doing sadhana, then he could see the difference, because that heaviness started going away and he started becoming very light, in spite of the various challenges which he was facing. So gaining this totality vision is a very effective way of removing your heaviness, the feeling of heaviness or the feeling of stress. Instantly it will just vaporize. So when your whole attention is on me and my problem, now even a small problem will look big. But if you conceive the totality, how this universe is so big and you are just a small, it's like a speck of dust in this vast, vast universe. And if you go further and further and further, many, many galaxies and all that, then even the sun becomes an insignificant point there. So then imagine the earth. You can't even find the earth. And in that earth, your country, your city and your house, and there you are sitting with that feeling, oh, I am here and it is my problem. The whole thing becomes so absurd. That extra value which you give to yourself and to your problems drop off completely when you develop this totality vision. That is why loke, it is a very, very effective way of instantly removing the stress. Of course, there are different ways of gaining this totality vision. This part, I'll be giving the empowerment for this during the 22-day course. the Anandoham, infinite happiness. So many empowerments are going to be given there. One empowerment is for rooting out the stress from your system. So there were two effective methods of rooting out the stress will be given. That is not merely the principle, but the empowerment will be given, and when you do the meditation, the sadhana, the seeds will be sown. After that, the sadhana material, when you get and keep practicing, you will find an amazing result. You'll start becoming very light. Your mind will start becoming very light. So loke means the totality vision. And then what is interesting is he says asmin. Once he expands the mind, now he brings him back to the present problem, which is asmin, this world. He's not talking about some universe somewhere, He's not talking about heaven or hell, all these things. He is saying in this world, means in this, lokaha also means experience. See, one is lokaha means the universe, the world. Lokaha also means experience. So when he says lokesmin, loka asmin, now that asmin means this. So consider the entire universe, all your extra stress goes away. Now start focusing on the present issue, this. It's a deadly combination. So it's a powerful combination of having the totality vision in the background, but focusing on the present issue which you need to solve. Generally, people get involved either with the totality vision or they get too involved with the present problem and create stress. When you stop off with merely building the totality vision, your stress will go away, no doubt, but you will also become very impractical in life. You will stop putting any effort towards solving your present problem. Now, if you don't have any totality vision and only focus on the present issue, that is this, as he says, asmin, this experience, now you will have that extra value, that extra pressure or heaviness will be created, as a result of which after a while you will be unable to act. That is what had happened to Arjuna. He said, see, he had the Gandiva, his bow in his hand, and at one point in the first chapter he says, I am unable to hold my bow. The Gandiva is slipping from my hand. So if he is unable to hold the bow, how is he going to fight? So he becomes incapacitated to act. So if your focus is only on me and my problem, after a while you will become incapacitated to act. If your focus is only on the totality vision, you will become highly impractical in life. The combination is what is true sadhana. That is the sadhana tip which we get from here. Aim for the highest. Have the highest vision, the broad vision. But at the same time, focus on right now, this particular moment, this experience which you are going through. Give your best here. That is how a sadhak functions. So you can take that tip. See, we'll see the two extremes. Like for example, some people only keep talking very high philosophy without any context to their issues. They may be having issues with their spouse, with children. They will not be performing properly in their office. But if you go and talk to them, they will talk very high philosophy, infinite, God and this, that and all they'll be saying. You should never become like that. I would suggest as a sadhana, don't use these words like infinite and all that for everything. See, in a context, the great masters are using that. Now some people you will always see, every second they will say, it is all God's grace, it is all God's grace. A person who is truly experiencing God's grace doesn't need to keep repeating it all the time. It is all God's grace means they will not put any effort here. That is what they are meaning. It is a kind of a tamas. Some time back, when we used to have these sessions live in the auditorium, a lady had come to me for advice. After the lectures, I used to sit for a little while every week, just meet one or two people in case they need some guidance. So this particular lady had asked for an appointment, and I had told the organizers to ask her to send a mail first, what her issue was. After that, I had given her time, so she came. So as soon as she came, she sat down and she said, sir, I had sent you the mail. I said, I read it. Her problem was very simple. Her problem was that she was very much into this. She had been attending, she liked the Sunday sessions so much. She was doing her sadhana and all that. But her husband and in-laws and even her children, they were all not for this. They were trying to discourage her and saying, don't go. You don't follow spirituality. It's not about merely here, but generally itself don't. This is what they were saying. So she had written a long mail saying that they are unable to understand and all that. So when she asked me, sir, so what should I do? I said, Amma, very simple. Now in your entire mail, you're saying your family members are unable to understand. But have you ever thought whether the way you are functioning there, is it okay? Are you functioning in a balanced way or not? So she said, sir, as far as I'm concerned, I'm thinking I'm very balanced. I said, no, you are not functioning in a balanced way. I gave her a small example. Even in the mail which she had written, the usage of the word infinite, at least 20 times she would have mentioned infinite. Oh, infinite Yogishri, in the form of the infinite. She had taken it from Ramatita. See, Ramatita, when he used to address audiences, he used to say, oh, infinite in the form of ladies and gentlemen. So she was just repeating that, mechanically. My infinite, please accept my infinite bhavana. See, everything was, she was adding infinite. So I asked her to take her mail out and I showed her that. I said, see, this is the imbalance. Why should you use this word unnecessarily? If you are truly attuned to the infinite, there is nothing to show off, Lord Krishna, he never spoke about the infinite unless and until Arjuna sought his advice. Later on, Uddhava sought his advice. That is when he spoke about the infinite. Otherwise, he just played his roles in a humble way. So I said, that itself shows how you will be behaving at home. You will be talking all unconnected things, high things out of context to your family members who are not interested in this. So then she thought about it and said, yes, sir, you are right. What she used to do is, if somebody comes and tells her something and that disturbs her mind, immediately she'll just verbally say, Shivoham, Shivoham. She used to say, I am that infinite, I am that infinite. So when her family members saw that, obviously anybody will say, first you stop all this. So that was not allowing her to function in a balanced way. So I told her the solution is very, very simple. This wisdom, if you absorb this wisdom truly, if you are doing your sadhana sincerely, it will make you a better person at home. If your role is that of a homemaker, you will become a better homemaker. You will become a better mother to your children, become a better wife to your husband, vice versa. If you are a husband, you will become a better husband to your wife. Whatever it is that you are doing, you will create a balance. So I said, first stop this. That is what will happen. When you gain the totality vision and then stop off with that, then there is a chance of imbalance. Actually, she was a good sadhak. She had misunderstood this whole thing, The moment she realized that, she started becoming very, very normal and simple. That is when she started getting true wisdom. She started growing spiritually very fast by doing her sadhana. She stopped making an exhibition of these spiritual principles. Actually, a time came where all the family members saw a complete difference in her personality, and one by one they got inspired, and her husband started accompanying her to the lectures, and she came and introduced him. He was a very nice person actually, and her children also started coming. Her in-laws also started coming. Why? Because they could see that this wisdom was making her a better person and helping her fulfill her roles more effectively. See, why would any family member object to someone gaining this wisdom? And see, only when the person sees a threat, oh, if this person gets into this, now they will move away from this relationship, or they will not be able to function here properly. Only when they get an insecurity like that, they are going to object. If they see a positive change, the person is becoming better in life, now why would they resist? Rather, they will support only. So you should be very careful when you are gaining the highest wisdom. Unnecessarily you should not go and talk about it. Or see, if you want to introduce this to someone, the best is to send them the link and ask them to watch. No, you should not take up the role of Sri Bhagavan and start. So, supposing a person asks, so what is it that you're attending every Sunday? Immediately you're waiting for that. Sit. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. You start your. That will obviously be your version only. You should never do that. Then you're going off balance. So, on one hand, you should have the highest principles, loke, but at the same time, how should you function? Asmin, in this, right now. You should never ever lose the context. So, what is true spirituality? Soaking yourself in the highest principles, highest thoughts. That is allowing your mind to soak itself in the highest principles, and at the same time allowing your body to do karma here, karma, action. Whatever roles you have to play, you play them to perfection. That is karma yoga. Yoga means uniting with the infinite. Karma means acting here. So when you unite your mind to the infinite and act here in a very practical way, that is when you are doing karma yoga. That is when you are a karma yogi. If you are saying I am united to infinite and all that, and you are neglecting your work here, then you are not a spiritual person. Or if you are so involved here that you are highly stressed about it, you are getting worked up, then you are not connected to the higher at all. Then also you have not perfected the the science of yoga. It is a balance which you need to create. It will come slowly, slowly. If that lady can do it, anybody else can do it. It's a question of understanding the concepts very clearly and then applying yourself diligently. Over a period of time, this balance will come. So if loke can remove your stress, asmin comes and balances the whole thing. So lokesmin, if you understand the power of that, that brings balance in your life. It is actually karma yoga in a nutshell. Just that phrase lokesmin gives the very principle of karma yoga in a passing way. See, sometimes these great masters, whatever they utter casually, that itself becomes a lifetime sadhana for us. They don't need to very seriously sit and talk and all that. Casually while walking they may say something and go. That can become a life-transforming sadhana for us. Beautifully, we can see that, here when he says lokesmin. So, lokesmin dvividha nishta. In this world, there is the twofold path, dvividha nishtha, as stated by me earlier, O sinless one. So as a sadhana homework, one I told you about playing roles, the other is this. You can make a note of that. You should practice this, then only you will get a first-hand experience, See, take some issue which is bothering you today, which is causing a lot of stress. Now apply this principle of loke. Just close your eyes and visualize the entire universe is there. And as you expand your vision, expand it to the extent possible. If required, you do a internet search on how this universe looks, how this galaxy looks and all that. When you see that vastness, you can easily visualize, Just visualize. The entire universe is there and you are just an insignificant part of that. So immediately your mind will expand and all the stress will go away. Once that happens, after that, now you focus on the present problem and say, what should I do now to solve this? Automatically you will get a solution. The clarity will come. See, today, the clarity is not there, clarity of thinking is not there because of the stress only. See, when you go to a master, now how is it that he may not be technically qualified in many areas, but still he will be able to give a suitable advice when you ask him how? He will just require the fact that he will gather, but then the decision making ability is always there. How is that? Because his mind is stress free, that's all. So with a stress free mind, if you apply yourself, you will succeed. So I request you to do that sadhana this week, where you take up some issue which is bothering you and you're struggling with it. Just practice this lokesmin and see. Within a short while, you would have handled that problem, you would have solved it, and you will move on in your life. Okay, so you take that as a sadhana homework for this week. Lokesmin. How powerful it is, So, lokesmin dvividha nishta. There is the twofold path. Dvividha means twofold, two parts, and nishtha means path. So what does this show? He is saying there is only one path and it has two parts. He is dividing it into two parts for convenience. Now, this is something which you should understand fully. That is, as far as a spiritual path is concerned, there is only one path. There are no different paths like what people are thinking. It is a misconception. That's why he uses the word nishtha. One road is only there to travel in spirituality. But in that path, you may use many vehicles. See, if there is one road, you want to go from point A to B. Now, that is the only road. What is that? We'll see. But first, that is the only road. Now, in that road, you may use any vehicle to go. One person may go in a bicycle. One person may go in a motorbike. The third person may go in a car. So you may use different vehicles to travel in that one path or one road, but the road is one only. Similarly, the path to infinite, path to God is only one. That is Sankhya, the principle of Sankhya. Sankhya, we have seen it in the entire second chapter, so I'm not going to go into a detailed explanation of that now. But what is the principle of Sankhya? The principle of Sankhya is nothing but expansion of consciousness. Uplifting the consciousness and expanding it. Now, in that is the only path. But you may use many vehicles. Through many ways, you may expand your consciousness. Like, for example, there is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is one vehicle. It is a way by which you expand your consciousness, how to act in the world and expand your consciousness. And another vehicle is Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion. There, when he says yoga, Bhakti Yoga, yoga is not the path, it is a vehicle, it is a way. Then you have Jnana Yoga. By acquiring this wisdom, you can uplift your consciousness. That's what you're doing every Sunday, no? When you're listening to the discourse, your consciousness gets uplifted. You're getting inspired with this wisdom. Dhyana Yoga, through meditation, you can directly uplift the consciousness. Yoga Sankirtan is one method. It's a very most powerful method. Every day, when you sit and do the Yoga Sankirtan sadhana, your consciousness gets uplifted and it goes on expanding. So these vehicles are different from each other. A bicycle is different from a car is different from a motorcycle is different. A person may use a bullock cart also. That is, these vehicles are totally different from each other, but they are all having a common ground. That is, you're progressing on the same road. So when you're practicing Karma Yoga, that is one thing. When you're practicing Bhakti Yoga, that looks totally different. But all of them are interconnected because you're traveling in that road which takes you from the finite to the infinite. So whenever a master addressed his students, depending upon what was suitable to that particular student or a group of students, he may emphasize on a particular method. Like to some people he'll say do Karma Yoga. To some people he may say do Bhakti Yoga. Because that may be lacking for them, that aspect. So in practicality, you have to use many methods. You have to do karma, bhakti, jnana, dhyana. Everything has to be combined together because you have different tools, different aspects to your personality. Sometimes you're acting, sometimes you're feeling, sometimes you're thinking. So how to refine all that? That is how these various yogas were coined. All the time you're breathing, how to purify the breathing, that is a path. Then setting aside a time and closing your eyes and meditating, that is dhyana yoga. They are not against each other. See, most people try to confine themselves to one aspect. I am following jnana yoga and you're a bhakta, I am a jnani and he is following karma yoga. And they argue with each other which path is better. First of all, there are no many paths. And then there is karma yoga superior or jnana yoga superior. Actually, that is what is Arjuna's problem. He says, if you consider, why are you asking me to do this karma? Because knowledge is superior. In the 5th chapter, again he'll be asking that. If you think gaining knowledge is superior, then why are you asking me to act? It's because Arjuna always thinks in terms of which is superior, which is inferior. That is a common misconception which people have. In the spiritual circles, a lot of debates happen. Which is more superior, jnana or bhakti? There is nothing like that. It all depends on that particular person. Superior for whom? That's what he's saying. Yoga of knowledge, jnana yoga. You see in the next line, jnana yogena sankhyanam, karma yogena yoginam. So for Sankhyas, jnana yoga is superior. For yogis, karma yoga is superior. He is using the word Sankhya and yogi in a particular context. We'll see all that as we go along. But this question itself is absurd. When you ask which is superior, Arjuna goes on asking the similar kinds of questions. Later on he'll ask, is form worship better or formless better? The question is for whom? And the interesting part is Krishna says both. He says undoubtedly form is best. And then next verse he says, for those who worship formless also will reach the infinite. Because you can't unilaterally answer these kinds of questions. So is karma yoga better, jnana yoga better or bhakti yoga better? For whom? For a bhakta, bhakti yoga is best. For a jnani, jnana yoga is the best. How can you say which is best for everyone? It's not possible. And not only that, everyone has these aspects. You have the physical body, so you have to do karma yoga. You have emotions, so you have to do bhakti yoga. You have intellect, so you have to do jnana yoga. So at different points of time, you may require that particular yoga to be done. So which is best? Number one, for whom? Number two, even for that person, what is the context? If you are functioning, if you are performing some action and you ask which yoga should I perform, I would say karma yoga. If you are feeling something, an emotion, and you are asking what yoga should I perform, I would say bhakti yoga. When you are thinking and at that time you ask what yoga should I do, I would say jnana yoga. So there is no hard and fast rule about that. This is very flexible. So you all are getting this opportunity because you are getting exposed to the yogic approach, wherein you are getting a comprehensive, total wisdom. So when he says lokesmin dvividha nishta, the nishta, the path is one, but divided into two. The divisions can be divisions can be 2 or 3 or 4, or you can divide them into 100 parts also. The same path. That is up to your convenience. For convenience sake here, Krishna divides it into 2 and he gives that wisdom to Arjuna. Elsewhere, In some other scripture, you may find that 3 divisions. In certain scriptures, you may find 4 divisions. It's like this. You have an object. Let us say you have a bread slice. Now, if there are 2 people, you will divide it into 2 and give 1/2 to each other. Supposing there are 3 people, then 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 you can give it to them. That's up to you only. When you add all of them, it will be 1. So, lokesmin dvividha nishtha. So, the main message here is not about dvividha. Dvividha right now. Dvividha we'll see that, because that dvividha is what he explains in the next line. But right now, you should focus on that word nishtha. The path is one. So no different paths. Approaches may be different. See, even when it comes to God, God is one only. How you call that one infinite may be different. One person may call God as Rama, another person may call God as Krishna, third person may call God as Shiva, fourth person may say, I don't believe in God, but I believe in nature. He is calling that infinite as nature only. Different names. Naam anek, sabka malik ek. Means names are different, but the one who is supreme, God is one. So you should absorb that energy when he says, lokesmin dvividha nishtha. So the goal is also one, that is the infinite. The path is also one, which is expansion of consciousness. And then you may do it in different ways. When you have this total picture, then you will never become fanatic. See, if you lack this total picture, you will become fanatic about something or other. You may be, you may look at the infinite as Ram. You may call the infinite as Rama, or you may call the infinite as Krishna. But you will become very fanatic about it. You will think that all others are not spiritual. God means only Rama, only Krishna. That's how you will now narrow down the whole concept. Similarly, you may be predominantly following a particular method. Now, instantly you will say that that is the only method everybody else should do. So, fanaticism kills the true spirituality. You see, in the name of God, people have started becoming very fanatic, and then they start fighting with each other. The very idea of becoming spiritual is to solve all conflicts and become peaceful. But today, in the name of God, a lot of quarrel is happening. Why? Because of this simple misunderstanding. So when he says dvividha nishtha, that word nishtha gives you a complete perspective. So if the path itself is one, then the goal is also one only. One road leading to that one goal, that which is the infinite. And the infinite will have infinite dimensions. You can relate to God in any way you want, as long as you maintain this this perception, as long as you don't become narrow-minded and fanatic. Okay, so we'll stop here today. We'll continue further next week. I'll take up a small question. This is actually not a question. In the YouTube comment section, this points, all of you are putting your points, which are really very wonderful. So there is a small thing which I want to mention here. Last week this point was put by Simandini Gauriji. She is a very good sadhak, we can see from here. What she has written is, Hari Om Yogishri, the greatest sadhana of a sadhak is learning from each experience he is going through. Yes, keeping ego under control by surrendering of the good and bad experiences to the infinite principle. And then what she has written is, maintaining silence when someone is accusing us. Thanks a lot, Yogishri. Now that last point is what I just want to give some message, not only to her, to many others who may have misunderstood. It was never said that when someone is accusing you or insulting you, you should maintain silence. See, keeping quiet externally or saying something back and all that is at the external level. I was only talking about the internal stress which you go through, the mental stress. I was saying, just because a person insults you, now why should you lose your peace of mind? The mistake is committed by that person, but the consequence of that, you are suffering. So in order to relieve yourself of your suffering, it was said, now first learn to handle your mind so that you don't become reactive. But that doesn't mean now you should necessarily maintain silence externally. This is an internal phenomenon. Whatever was given was to handle the internal stress felt by the mind. Why should you lose your sleep because somebody else has said something or somebody else has accused you or abused you, whatever it is? But when it comes to external action, you need to take corrective action. Otherwise you will become very passive in spirituality. In spirituality, you should, if you're not careful, you will say, I forgive, I this, that. Yes, all that is an internal phenomena to remove your stress. But if you bring it to the action level, now slowly you will become like a doormat. You should be careful. Everybody comes and puts their foot on the doormat and they go, no? Similarly, now, you should not become so passive where the other person, you take all the hits from the other person. No. Whether it is in the form of words or actions, spirituality doesn't teach you to be passive. So you need to learn to speak for yourself. That is very important. So one small slip there can create long-term issues for you. Because if you don't handle the stress within and you don't take any action, corrective measures also, and the other person is constantly, let us say, abusing you or is rude to you, now that will go on affecting your mind and you will keep suppressing that energy, that negative energy of anger and frustration within. And that can cause other issues. You will lose your sleep. It can cause health issues. One day, suddenly it will burst. That same person, you may shout at that same person or somebody else without any context. And they may ask you, what for are you shouting? You yourself will not know why you are shouting. It's all the pent-up frustration. So, I'm making it very clear here, there are two things. We will take the same example. Somebody is insulting you. Now, one is how you react internally at the mental level. That is what was covered. You should not get stressed. When I'm saying you should not get stressed, you see, I'm not putting it as a straight practice now. through sadhana, I'm saying you should get to that state where your mind is unaffected. So there also you don't start complaining about yourself, oh, I'm getting stressed, I don't know why, and it's not that. Slowly get to a state where nothing affects you, because it's not worth it to lose your peace of mind because of others' behavior. The other aspect, so this is the internal aspect, the other aspect is the external aspect, how you deal practically with the situation. Obviously, when another person is coming and hurting you, you should not allow that person to continue to hurt you. That is passivity. That's what Krishna is trying to teach Arjuna and the Pandavas. See, the Pandavas were very good people, but they were highly passive. So Krishna said, no, whatever rightfully belongs to you, your share of the kingdom, you should fight for it and get it if the other person is being unreasonable, or the other person is being unrighteous. So this ancient wisdom is not about passivity. So you need to handle the situation. How? Should I be silent or should I talk back? It all depends on the situation. Sometimes if you are just silent, the other person may get unnerved and may stop. Then it is worthwhile maintaining silence. Sometimes you may have to talk to the other person. You may be very gentle but firm. Listen, this is not the way to talk. We cannot continue like this. Give respect and take respect. You can say that in your own way. Sometimes you may not say anything verbally, but you may send a message saying that this is unacceptable behavior, so we should sort it out. So some way, some method, whichever method is most effective, you should use that to solve the issue. That is on one hand externally. But before even you do that, what I'm saying is do the sadhana generally and get to a state where you're able to handle the internal stress. So even when forgiveness is suggested, that is not, see, when you forgive another person, it is not for the other person, it is for you to remove your stress only. Forgiveness is suggested. See, supposing somebody insults you, and if you are unable to forgive that person, you are angry within, you will lose your peace of mind. So when you forgive the other person mentally, now you will become stress free. So the whole exercise is for you to become stress free. It has nothing to do with the other person. Whereas action level, when you are calm and composed, then you will have better clarity to how to deal with that person. It may be your own spouse, it may be your colleague in your office, it could be anyone. Okay, what is his problem? What is his psychology? Which method will work best? Sometimes, if you're not too clear, trial and error you will come to know. But if you are highly stressed and reactive, now either you will shout back in a very impulsive way that may aggravate the situation. In an impulsive way, see, the impulsive reaction is what we are talking about. Or you may just suppress yourself, suppress all your frustration and anger, and in the long run, that pent up energy is also not good. So whatever is being suggested here is the most practical way. Divide your problem into two. One is your internal stress, other is externally, how should I handle? So internally become stress free by doing the sadhana and releasing all the negative energy. That's why the Yoga Sankirtan material has been given to you all. Externally, deal with the situation in the right way. Sometimes if you have to be stern and tell the other person, tell them nothing wrong with that. If you don't speak up for yourself, who is going to speak up? But ensure that whatever action, the corrective measure you're taking is not an impulsive one. That's all. Is this very clear? Not only to her, but to all the sadhaks, this message has been given, because a small misunderstanding of this principle can take you to one of the two extremes, which is not a desirable one. Okay, so think about it. If you have more questions, you can always email them, or you can put them in the YouTube section. They will all be answered. Okay, so now we'll do the meditation. Gently close your eyes. Breathe in a deep way. Feel the divine vibrations. With every breath, I am going deeper and deeper into myself. I am not this physical body. I am not this mind. I am not this intellect. I am that supreme divine self. From this moment onwards, I choose to play all my roles in life to perfection. When I consider the vastness of this universe, my existence is very insignificant. I choose to focus on this present moment, on this present experience, and give my best here and now. I am Swayam Prakashit, self-illuminating. Offer your gratitude to God Supreme. Offer your gratitude to your Guru and all the holy masters. Slowly come back. Wriggle your fingers, your toes, rub your palms together to create a warmth. Cup your eyes with your palms. Gently rub your eyes, cheeks, forehead, top of the head, back of the head and neck. Slowly open your eyes. Welcome back. So today we had a very deep and powerful session. Some very inspiring points have been given to you. So reflect on these points and start following all the sadhana tips which are being given every week. They are all meant to enhance the quality of your life. Okay, so regarding the 22-day program, as I've been telling you, from the moment you register for it, the special healing energy will start flowing and you will start receiving that. So the special meditation material has also been prepared. So this is a small sadhana that will be shared to you this week, to all those who have registered, with whatever instructions. So just do that meditation also along with your regular sadhana. So when you do this special preparatory meditation, now that has been infused with the necessary energy for you to open up and get fully prepared to receive the higher grace during the 22-day empowerment. It has been designed like that. So once you get that material, you can start following. But don't leave your regular sadhana. That is a base. This is a further addition. In this 22-day course, it's going to be very powerful, especially the opening up of the fifth dimension, that is the Anandamaya Kosha. That is going to be extremely powerful. So you require this preparation. This preparation will help you to face that energy, to receive that energy in a smooth way. Okay? So any other questions you have? Some people have asked. Since we have some time, I'll answer them as we go along. So any other questions you have regarding the program, do ask them. I will clarify everything. Okay? So thank you very much. Hari Om.